I danced to the parking lot, not because I was unhappy with the job, but because you said it, Cynthia, it was because it was opening up the chapter to a new part of my life.
You're the senior vice president of operations at Coldwell Banker. And after 28 years, like when most people are going to just ride into retirement and not live their legacy, you said, it's time for me to do something completely different. So, what made you do that?
Well, it's a great question, but if people are tuned into economics and they roll back that clock of what was happening, not so much in 2007, but in 8 and 9, that was when we went off the economic cliff, if someone will remember. And what was happening with me, we had already started, again, being a large company and part of a larger company with 5 brands. The 5 brands combined owned about 20%, 25% of the national market at the time, every listing or sale in the United States. So we saw trends long before others necessarily saw them, and we could see that the bubble was about to burst because real estate had been in a bubble for almost a decade. And what was happening was we were downsizing by attrition, by a sort of I called it picking feathers off the duck, eliminating cubicle positions. And I was really had a very, very blessed career. I did a lot of wonderful things over those 28 years, and I will always be eternally grateful. But I realized that if the company was at some point going to have to make some very, very tough decisions. So I went to my boss and said, I want to put my name on the list because when you have to, at some point in time, the big guys in the corner office are going to ask for some serious payroll to be cut here. And I want you to know I'm okay if you put me on that list. And he freaked out because he and I had been friends for most of that 28 years. And he had fought very hard to get me to the corporate offices from other positions I had held. And long story short, it's not an important story, but when the time came and that they knocked on his door and said, "Okay, you gotta get serious now." He said, "Did you mean what you said?" And I said, "I absolutely did." And I had already started to put a plan and an idea together that I wanted to be a coach and consultant and use part of the skill set that I had built up over those years to really be on my own. So I was totally okay with it. And it was most people trudged to the parking lot. I danced to the parking lot, not because I was unhappy with the job, but because you said it, Cynthia, it was because it was opening up the chapter to a new part of my life. And I was still young enough to say, "Hey, you know what? I can have another career here." Now, what's really funny, and this really leads into that second career, when the cliff came and the economy fell apart, I had a very strong skill set in coaching and consulting.